So I want to talk about a couple of our highlight stories here in the national news this week. In Texas, Republicans are going big in their brazen gerrymandering attempt. We sort of briefly talked about this over the last couple weeks, but a draft map released Wednesday would add three new districts that would have voted for President Trump in 2024, and also put two House Democrats who won Trump districts in a lot of danger going forward. So essentially, what's happening is Texas is going through a special session to redraw their congressional maps outside of the normal 10-year census cycle, specifically to steal 5 seats in the upcoming election. So let's see. The proposed map here, it says, is intended to help the GOP hold on to the House, where they have a historically narrow majority, and history suggests Democrats are very likely to pick up seats in the midterm elections. This map could help Republicans flip 5 of them, significantly raising the bar for a Democratic takeover of the chamber. Now, we talked about the effects of gerrymandering here in Indiana vis-a-vis Liz Brown a couple minutes ago, and how it just reinforces the cycle of extremism. Here, Derrick, it looks like you have a blatant, out in the open attempt to game the 2026 election at best. Steal might be a word you'd prefer to use. What say you?
I mean, any gerrymandering is horrible. It happens. Both sides do it. But there needs to be a limit to it. Um, I personally would like it to go away completely, but
Yes.
that's not going to happen. Um, I really hate to say this, but it's part of the game. And I mean, it needs to stop, but I I personally don't know how to stop it except for congressional passage of a bill.
And this was right there in the For the People Act, which Democrats proposed after winning in 2020. This was one of the things that they were supposed to get through. And, you had a couple quote unquote centrist holdouts, your Joe Manchin types, who would not help get this thing over the line. That would have buried or banned gerrymandering in every district. Now, so what you have, and like you said, it is part of the game, at least the way things currently have. We've been gerrymandering since we became a country. In fact, it's named after like an early Massachusetts governor named Elbridge Gerry, hard G. But he sort of invented this practice in the 1700s, and we're still doing it. But Republicans do it way more and a lot more effectively. So this is from the Brennan Center. They found 11 Republican drawn maps that had extreme partisan bias ahead of the 2024 elections compared to 4 drawn by Democrats. One of those 11 is Indiana. So Democrats are talking about doing some sort of tit for tat in California. Their governor Gavin Newsom is threatening to call a special session to redraw their maps. Hakeem Jeffries and Governor Kathy Hochul in New York are sort of having similar conversations. The problem is, in these Democratic states, there are a lot of self-imposed legal hurdles to doing this such thing. Scott, have Democrats unilaterally disarmed?
It certainly feels that way given the state of the country, doesn't it? Knowing a lot about Texas, I have no problem seeing that this happens in Texas. And the concern is that they're setting the Republicans very clearly have a long-term strategy that basically says they don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in there's going to be a left and a right. They just believe in there's going to be a right. And Democrats need to wake up and realize that we cannot have a perfect progressive world, right? And when you're on the left, the long policy of we eat our own young. If you're not perfect enough, if you're not, progressive enough, etc. And this is, an indication to me of the 4-alarm fire that we are currently undergoing. The Republicans will not stop. They'll do this. They'll do whatever to win. And they're looking. And if you look at Trump's big beautiful bill, and you mentioned earlier the $180 billion for ICE. That's $180 billion over 10 years. They are planning to do this crap for the next decade. Right? It is time for people on the left to realize this and realize that perhaps we're going to have to bend some of our ideals. And I recognize the danger in that. I recognize the problems with potentially becoming the enemy you fear. However, I would say that the enemy we fear is actually here. And this is a very, very real thing.
And the Democrats
I hope Newsom does it. I hope Wisconsin does it. I hope New York does it. If we have to cheat a little bit, we're going to have to cheat a little bit.
Yeah, for far too long, I feel like Democrats have been bringing a pillow to a gunfight,
Exactly correct.
Well, so now you got me scared, but look, I actually thought I saw a silver lining in this. So, to me, if the Republicans are going through all this, talking about redrawing all these maps, and that this is how they're going to try and steal the 2026 election, at least that means they don't have a better plan and they don't have something more nefarious cooked up. Like, oh, okay, they're just redrawing the maps. Oh, okay, I can live with that. That's workaroundable. If they were planning on declaring a state of emergency and conducting the elections under like military occupation, that I would be worried about.
The jury is out. Okay, what they're going to do is whatever they want to rule the country on a permanent basis. You look at the amount of money that got behind Trump, the billions and billions and billions of dollars. They didn't spend that money to lose. This is fundamentally, this isn't politics. This is an economic class war. You look at the vision that the tech industry has. I don't know if anyone's followed Curtis Yarvin and the Nerd Reich and that sort of look in the world. People want America to become like Atherton, California, which is a gated community. It's all white. The only people you ever see on the streets are gardeners and maids. This is a very dystopian world that they are aiming at. And our view of the world, where it's diverse, where it's multiracial, where it's, people get to do what they want. This is not at all the vision that they have.
Jennifer, could this potentially bite these Republicans in the butt? I've seen some folks suggest that they may be stretching their supporters too thin and wind up having some of these districts flip Democrat because they've taken so many of their supporters and dispersed them amongst different districts.
Right. I mean, just from little bits that I have heard over the last several weeks about this, it doesn't seem like it's like a super strong movement, that there is some pushback there in Texas. So I don't know though, but because we're always hoping something's going to give, right? As Democrats, like, is this going to be it? Is this going to be the thing that takes Trump down? Is this going to be the thing that, saves the country? So just like everything else, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But I will say the same thing I think Derrick brought up. I mean, if each party tries to do the same thing, because we're all trying to stay in power, because for some, we all seem to think that we're doing the right thing, that we're on the, the right side of good. And so that's what makes people do crazy things.
I will say this, at the very least, Democrats need to keep talking about doing their own gerrymander, if for nothing else than just to maybe give these Republicans pause about going big.